Hello. So I'm stepping away from Vermintide for a little bit. Not a really huge fan of the Winds of Magic expansion, and I don't know when I'm going to be going back to it. I have dabbled in it a little bit, but that's not the point of this video. I've been actually a huge fan of World War Z since it came out. I picked it up on the PlayStation 4, unlocked all the character classes, maxed out all the character classes, got all my guns maxed out, was really enjoying myself. Then a patch dropped, and the patch made the game infinitely harder. Um, but not in a way that was really beneficial to me because I'm terrible with a controller when it comes to shooters. So getting the PC version, well, that's where I'm at now. And I'm glad I did because I was actually able to complete the uh, the challenge for the sniper rifle. I'm going to show it to you here. So I got it. I have completed everything on Extreme. So this video is coming from a point of experience. I promise it's not a humble brag. Anyway, getting right into it, I'm going to start with each class. I'm going to make a separate video for each one. Some are going to be a little bit more in depth than others. But anyway, we're going to start with the Gunslinger. Everyone that's highlighted in yellow, if you guys aren't aware of this, and surprisingly, there are a few of you that aren't, you don't get everything as you just buy it. You don't get all these skills. It's whichever one obviously is highlighted with the little yellow indicator. It needed to be said. So sorry for that. Anyway, fire in the hole should always be fire in the hole. The reason why I've chosen not to ever use impact grenades, I did toy with it from time to time. But fire in the hole was obviously more effective, especially in the insane or extreme difficulties, where you have particular situations, like, for instance, when you're trying to protect the train driver and the pyramid's kind of split. You know what I'm talking about, right, guys? When the pyramid splits into like 2 or 3 different places and there's those little dense chunks of zombies around the train driver, having high penetrations in those situations really only works on like one tower at a time, and you need to get all of them all at once. Fire in the hole is where that comes in handy. Just right down in the middle, and it gets all of them. Cool. That's what it's there for. You need to be able to have a large radius of crowd control with pretty much every class, and Gunslinger doesn't really have a lot of strength in that department. It can when you're getting into the heavy weapons, but we'll get into that in just a second. So for the time being, fire in the hole should always be your priority. In this particular tree, adrenaline, 110% adrenaline. The 50% reload speed boost is absolutely insane because it procs every time you empty a clip or every time you need to reload at the end of a clip, and it translates into your next weapon, and it synergizes really nicely with your sleight of hand. Now, there is another skill, and I believe it's, Gun Fanatic. You're not really going to use that very often. You're not going to find yourself in a situation where you're dumping this one, then you're dumping that one, and now you're switching back and boom, and then it reloads. If you wanted to play like that, that also kind of makes Power Nap kind of a moot point too, doesn't it? So really there's no point in picking those. But having Adrenaline also synergizes really well with being able to pick up any gun on the map. The Gunslinger excels at being what? A gunslinger. So shotguns, these slower max penetration guns like your battle rifles and things of that nature. The new one, the classic carbine, has a really slow reload speed. So adrenaline comes into play very nicely. And this class, in my opinion, is by and far the best class to use, the classic battle rifle with. It's phenomenal. So anyway, skipping ahead to the next here, I choose to toy with this is my rifle and gunner from time to time, just because I like to have fun in the game. I'm not trying to play strategic and complete my objectives all the time. Sometimes I just want to have fun. But in almost every scenario, it's kind of pointless to go with either one of these. Just because the Gunslinger, again, can pick up any gun and benefit from using any weapon, these are tier 2 guns. So you're going to find them very early on in a map almost every single time. You're always going to see an assault rifle laying there. You're always going to see a sporting carbine laying there. So it's really kind of pointless to either take those because you can pick one up right away. And the Gunslinger doesn't really have a whole lot in kit when it comes to heavy weapons like some of the other classes. He really benefits from the machine gun, and that's about it. And considering that most people leave the machine gun behind, and you guys have seen that, right? You know, the chainsaws and machine guns are most heavily neglected heavy weapons in the game. So why not get some extra benefit out of it and go with that? Plus, it's nice to start with. You know, there's a few hairy situations where you might get a bull right out of the gate, or two or three bulls or something, and you need to be able to dump, you know, something quick and heavy. Having that explosive ammo is really good for the high health and heavily armored. And I've already gone into sleight of hand. There is not very much benefit to having wheatgrass in the higher difficulty tiers. That's the difference between a light hit from a single zombie. It's entirely pointless. It's saving you one hit, guys. One hit. Eh. Switching faster and killing your target faster seems to make more sense to me. Having a good offense is a good defense. But I guess an argument can be had here that maybe that one hit might save your life. But again, this has more sustainability than this. This can only be utilized once. Once your health drops past that threshold, there's no point until you get healed up or you temp shielded up. This will always be there for you. Bounty Hunter. Damage to special zombies. Take it or leave it. I feel like that's, again, one of those things where it's kind of a specialized scenario, and I mostly look for sustainability. Like, what's going to have the most throughput that I can benefit from 100% of the time throughout from point A to point B, and being able to kill a zombie one bullet faster, to me, is kind of pointless, at least with single targets. As far as this tree goes, again, I'm just ignoring Gun Fanatic. If you're using Adrenaline, there's really no point in having Gun Fanatic. If you're using Sleight of Hand, there's no point in having Gun Fanatic. Rage Mode, really, you could choose between either one of these. Last resort, there have been a few small situations. I'm sorry, a few brief scenarios. And some of the insane or extreme difficulty maps that I've done where Last Resort absolutely did come into play because I was dumping ammo much faster than I should have been. And it was there for me. But for the most part, Rage Mode is where it's at, just because there are more times than not situations where, you know, you get crowded in on. You don't have a lot of the explosion expertise that some of the other classes have, or being able to disappear, vanish in a cloud, or shield yourself instantly. Rage Mode's there for you because you don't have those other things in your toolkit. Now, as far as this tree goes, this is a flavor option. Choosing between the Shorty or the Senjata PDW, either one of these is just flavor. Whichever one you like to play the most, that's what you should use. Every now and then I like to ball with shotguns, and I just go shotgun heavy on everything. I pick up the first shotgun I see, and I start with the first shotgun I've got, and that's the way I play, and it's fun. And it's especially fun when you've got that quick reload. But when you're in the higher difficulty tiers, it's probably more advisable that you go into something like Desperado with your pistol, you know, snub these. I think get Welcoming Committee. Having this stationary machine gun ammo is absolutely beneficial if you have a team that utilizes them properly. If you've got a regular static group, if you're playing with pugs, it's a little bit of a different scenario. I see in pugs a lot, people just kind of ignore the stationary machine gun, but it's a huge benefit, especially if they're positioned properly and people know how to use them properly. That's what you should be going with. And in that situation, that's probably when you'd want to use Desperado. But again, having deep pockets is probably the most important in this tree, just because the Gunslinger is going to go through ammo much faster. When you get used to that heavy reload and the damage bonus that you get from using Thrifty after using that heavy reload, you kind of realize that, hey, I'm going through ammo a little bit quicker than what I'm used to. Deep pockets that's what that's there for, especially in the higher difficulty tiers where ammo is a little bit more sparse. This is a boon. Pickpocket. So, excuse me. Work belt and pickpocket. I've had to use work belt. There have been times where I've had to do that when I've decided to run with a group that was pretty consistent and things were working really smooth, but I knew I wasn't getting kits because somebody was running claymores, or, you know, we had a medic that was, you know, constantly keeping shields going. I'm like, man, if this is the way they're playing, I need to have more grenades. But 60-second cooldown is a pretty short cooldown in some encounters. So it's kind of good to have that extra. I mean, you toss one grenade, especially when you're using your fire in the hole, one grenade is going to kill 15 zombies. You're going to get that grenade back instantly, and boom, now you've got two more. So there's your three, but it has more sustainability. It can benefit you throughout the entire duration of the map. You're always going to have that regen. Every minute on the minute, you're going to be able to get a free grenade. So why not? Again, use your grenade smart. And thrifty. So I have toyed with these two off and on. Sometimes I like to go heavy on the heavy metal. And Annihilator is kind of cool with it, but I don't think 15% is enough to notice a huge difference. I really think that 15% damage bonus doesn't have as much sustainability as Thrifty does, because when you have a gun like an SMG that has, a relatively small clip, 45 rounds, I think, for the compact SMG, maybe less, maybe I don't remember. You're going to go through it rather quickly, and for the duration of that 5 seconds between your next reload, you're not getting any damage drop off. You're going to have a constant sustained 35% damage boost on every gun if you empty the clip. That's the way this should be played. And that's that. I think that was a pretty good take. I've actually been trying to make this video for the last, 2 hours now, and I keep fouling things up. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you guys like it, stick around and check out my next one.